Alrighty. Okay. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Making It Up as I Go. Is that the way life is? Just making it up? We don't have a script. There's no real operator's manual that you can discern of what are you supposed to do today? What are you supposed to do tomorrow? How are you supposed to live your life? So we take on a lot of advice from others to tell us how to do it, what we should do, what we can't do. And oftentimes, by the time we come up age where we can actually make decisions for ourselves, we actually don't question and start saying, well, gee, something, these people told me this, or I learned this in school. You've learned that it's not right. There are other ways of looking at it. There are other options, or it's just outright false. You start seeing all these other things, and yet we just complain about it and yet keep moving right on. And we're paying a price for that. We're Everyone does it. I'm not saying anything that don't apply to me. But I do see that as I have matured, as I go along in life, I start getting a feel for really what's the best way. I'm asking the questions because the desire, the impetus to improve the quality of our lives is something that comes from within each of us. Now, if if and as that flame withers or fizzles out, you know, we live literally speaking, just going to have to move on. We're not going to stay here. These are some of the things that are kind of going on in life. And first of all, I need to do the thing. Yeah, I like having that little groove going on. So I'm gonna turn that back down. Don't wanna compete, but I do like having it. So one of the things that has occurred to me is um, just an acknowledgement that there are so many things that are outside of the general conversation, the general um, discourses in our society, our social structure, things that are just not talked about. And for example, we act as though all that is knowable is already known. We are literally acting as though we, whoever we are, represent, or our society or our social structure represents the penultimate, the most advanced of all that exists. This is what we're telling ourselves, and we're acting as though all that is knowable is already known. Now, we're neither of those two criteria that I just mentioned, but we act as though it is. Therefore, we oftentimes are acting or listening to the advice of people who, well, if you ask them, they know all there is to know. But if you've done some research of your own, if you even use some common sense, you start finding out what they're telling you to do in certain situations is not going to get you where you want to go. It may help them to actually keep their quote unquote place of influence. They're not authorities, they're places of influence. Maybe they'll do that. But at what cost? Are you willing to pay the price for someone else keeping their ability to influence you? That's between you and you. What I want to do along these lines is that yeah, I start thinking about how do I want to improve. If I were to improve and could improve the world, if I could imagine a better way of doing life, for example, what would it be? And a lot of it for me, especially as it relates to the subject matter in um, my videos over the past few months, got to do with this thing called money. That's how we tend to think of it. But more fundamentally, this thing called value. We don't talk about value. We talk in terms of money, we talk in terms of stuff. We don't talk about consciousness. We don't talk about our imagination. We don't talk about dreams. And I actually came up with a title here. I said, The World of Dreams versus the World of Your Dreams. You may or may not be familiar with a song called No, wait a minute. No. Que Sera Sera is another story. Back off on that one. You may or may not be familiar with a song called, what is it? Gosh, I had it right there. Row, row, row your boat. So maybe if I can get this with this. Let's see if we can do this. Try it. Row, row, row your boat gently stream. Hold on. I gotta put things on hold. Yes. No. All right, that was solved. So row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. That's the song. And when you stop and think about it, life is a dream. Everything is a dream. What really kind of kicks in when you start realizing this is that nightmares are dreams too. There's nothing that isn't a dream. So if we're looking for some common ground, you got to first of all realize that we're living a dream, someone's dream. The question is, are we living our own? And that was let me step back this down some more. I don't want to compete with with the music either. As I was coming across my 50th time around the sun, in fact, I had this kind of epiphany. It was one of realization that, okay, I've been around the sun 50 times. I have some things that I want to do for me or for my life. There's a impact I'd like to have. And at the time, I had a really good job. Okay, I was making more money in terms of employment than I had ever made in my life. In fact, I worked in California, and I worked for American Honda. So I had a really nice job as a systems analyst, and they were happy with my work. Even if I didn't work hard, they were happy with what I did. And I realized even then, if I didn't do anything if I didn't work hard, if I didn't do my best, for example, because we had a staff and I was competent in what I did and conscientious, they were happy with that. But Honda could tolerate my not being my best. Just an example. On the other hand, unless I was doing my dream, unless I was giving my attention, my energy, my hopes, whatever you want to say, to what it is I wanted to accomplish in my life, then if I didn't do that, then it was not going to happen. My dream would not happen. And if I'm not doing my dream, whatever that dream is, and my inclination is to how to improve what I consider what life is. I not only me personally, but the life of those around me, those who I care for, and I care for everyone. But what can I do based on what I had learned, what I'd come to understand about things? And this was years. This was years before I even did my podcast and Talk for Food, and so many things that I learned subsequent to this. But I did have that fundamental epiphany, that understanding or realization that if I weren't going to do my thing, if I weren't going to give energy to it, then the best that I could to it, then it was not going to happen. And that's a decision many people are making. Everyone is making one way or another in the course of their life, maybe consciously or unconsciously. What are they doing? Are they just living to survive, or or is survival just how they live? And so I talk about the world of dreams versus the world of your dreams. And that is really kind of what it boils down to. Unless you have dreams of your own, unless you have some specifications, unless you have some ideas, unless you have some things that you feel are important elements or components that would add to the quality of your life, uh, and you're not doing anything about it, you're not giving something and having some movement in that direction. You're not even giving it time in your mind and your feelings. Then we're left with whatever the rest of the world of dreams we're left with that by default. And primarily what the world of dreams is generally based on is the idea of negative certainties. Okay, I'll call it that way. I mean, the idea that disaster is eventual, that death is eventual, that you know something to that's depressing and demoralizing. That's more likely. People are so set up to anticipate that something wrong is going to happen to the point that they start looking for what's wrong, or they start, and if something looks real good, they tend to even be, oh, this is too good to be true. And you know something, these are all expressions of consciousness, and they are that for a reason. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen in a vacuum, but much of it is passed on. We inherit those ways of looking at things and those ways of seeing things due to whether it's conflict, whether it's war, whether it's competition, is we being better than someone else, or whether we're thinking someone else thinks they're better than we are, etc. But it's oppositionism, it's groupism. These are the things. It's you're in this corner and that corner, and then we're at each other's side or at each other's throat. We're blameism. But ultimately, we become actually the invisible parts of all of this because we're so focused on someone else. There are people who can tell you they fawn on every word that someone celebrated or whomever says. They know their schedule. They probably know their bathroom schedules. They know so much about other people's business, people who don't know anything or care anything about them. But we pedestalize these folks. They get put on a pedestal. Okay. And it works in both directions. It works to the extent that we have some adoration for them, or they get put on pedestals. We put them on pedestals even when they're not warranted, and when what they are doing, their vision, their dreams, for example, for us, okay, are ill-advised. And something, the person who has an ill-advised uh, idea about what you should be doing or what I should be doing, they're the last people I'm going to be listening to. I don't know about you, but I'm not listening to them. I'm not going to cooperate with them if I know better, based on what I'm seeing, what I've come to know for myself. And so we are a society, though, that has really been conditioned to put people in quote unquote authority, and to say it in another way, put someone else in a position of authority over you, stewardship over you. Some people might even consider it as ownership, okay, because they think they actually have the ability and power apparently to say this is the way things are going to be for all these people, okay, without ever knowing, caring about, consulting, getting the agreement of nothing. And that's become normal. So if I'm dreaming and I'm looking at all this and I'm realizing it's all a dream, because the people who are pushing those types of agendas, their um, target dates are out there somewhere and somewhen. They're not now. And the cool thing is that they are no closer to their targets than you or I are to ours. The question is, are we supporting their targets or are we supporting our own? One of the things that, boy, I could go in a whole bunch of directions with this because uh, there are, I consider all of this as a function of consciousness. I consider everything. I say I consider it as it's my my study, my observation, my experience, my understanding of the way and the nature of, you can say reality is that everything is connected. Everyone is connected to everything else. We don't appear to be connected, but we are. And so some of the things and many of the things that we do are, well, we do it because we do appear not to be connected. So we think that there's not a loop, so to speak, in terms of repercussions of what we do. They talk about do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. It's really, really piece of wisdom right there. However, we have come to a place of thinking that if we're thinking that we are weak to someone else's strong, or we are little to someone else's big, we might think that they're, first of all, that's an error. They are no bigger than we are, they are no stronger than we are. Now, if we put them on pedestals and we think that they have some level of credibility simply because we put them on a pedestal than we do, then we pay the price for that choice. Okay, and that way of thinking is highly, I think, encouraged in our society. Okay, I mean, it's part of our education system, your medical system. Oh, you got to listen to the doctor. You can't ask the doctor. You can't ask them a question. You can't have a different opinion about what's best for you. If so and so had these things and these behaviors, these dynamics have been very well established for a long, long period of time. So if I'm dreaming something else, what would it be? Uh, there's oneness. I think there's one other part of this scenario which would have to do with the sense that there is, we think there's something called death, okay, and we think this is the only life that we have. We have questions on, well, what happens when the body passes, and of course, a lot of people will state it in such a way as that when you die. And so again, I'm not one of those numbers. And I wasn't that I it's not that I started that way. When I first heard about this thing called death, freaked me out because I didn't have any recollections of any existence before the time I showed up here, so to speak. Okay, 1951 for me, and I didn't have any recollections. So, okay, what was happening before I showed up here? What was I? All these questions. And then when one of my relatives, an uncle, passed when I was like 6 or 7 years of age, and experiencing a funeral and all these other things associated with it, the grief and the crying and funeral burials and all that kind of stuff, that freaked me out even more because as a little 7-year old or whatever age I was, I'm imagining myself being in that box, locked, well, locked up, and put in this thing and like a suppository, put down in the planet, and I'm seeing myself in that space, out without it being able to get out. That was what I imagined, and it was not a good feeling. And something within me realized, say, well, if that's a doorway that I'm going to have to go through at some point in to leave this place, I better have. I knew that the feeling that I had about it all was not the best. It wasn't the right one. Something about me at least knew that, because what I knew was that I was going to need to get over that. I was going to need to, and the way you get over certain things is you understand them. You gain, or you establish enough knowledge about what it is, as well as knowledge about what you are. That's where your fears start to go away. That's where your self-esteem comes up. That's where your confidence in yourself starts to, oh, well, okay. You start unburdening yourself, your mind. And that's really, I think, everybody's actual goal. I think that's my opinion, at least. Okay. And that's all you're going to get. You're going to get my opinion for sure. So, some of the things that I would be inclined to do, and I am inclined to do, is to reimagine, first of all, how we um, we manage, we acquire and manage and hold our own personal value. Now, your value is not necessarily the money that you have. Unless you have a sense of value of who you are and yourself, it doesn't really matter if you have funds or you don't. But most people have associated their sense of value with the monies that they have, when they need those monies to do the things that they want to do in their life, to live their life, uh, and also in terms of the amount, and in terms of the availability of it. And so the vast majority of our population is actually working on and functioning with far less of a flow of income, because we think of money in terms of static amounts. We think of a bag of money or a bag of this, but it's a static thing. When in fact, what we really are needing is a steady stream of it. If we had a steady stream of income coming in based on the uh, consequences or the results or the rewards of actions that we've done, wouldn't it be so cool to actually do some action, some activity that you have some harmonious thoughts about and you have good feelings about? But wouldn't it be cool to do that and establish a flow of income? And then you can sit back and chill, because the flow continues even while you do other things. What are used to doing, what we are well practiced at doing, is developing a skill, or a scheme, whatever it is, or an idea, and then working that idea typically in exchange for funds. And the exchange happens, you do the activity, you get the funds, you do the activity, you get the funds. But how would it be if you can do some activity and get a stream of funds coming, and then you can sit back and the stream of funds continue to come? Now, that's considered royalty income. Some people do this with respect to, if they have a sufficient amount of funds, they will quote unquote invest, and they'll put it in something and let some other machinations occur where they can make profits from that. They could, but there are other issues and details associated with that too. So you will see in my videos, or you'll hear as I talk about this thing called co-op crowd. It is a way to do the latter thing, wherein you do some activities. Each of us would do some activities, and in so doing, we are creating a stream of income that, by the replication, because we will do this activity, which includes inviting three people to do the same thing, and as that habit is multiplied and is replicated, each person begins to build a steady flow of income for themselves. Now, they do it by putting something into this system. So they're depositing some funds in, and then they're taking these tokens, which they invite three others to do the same thing. And then, as those three others invite three to do the same thing, and the process continues, each is building the same kind of stream, and they're going to be getting it from a totally their own unique group of individuals. There no two are the same. No two sources are the same. And in a way of speaking, this is a way of self empowerment in the sense that a person is putting positive energy out. And this is a point of consciousness. You can't, I'd like to say, criticize your way to wealth. Okay. I mean, well, I think it was Norman Vincent Peale, How to Win Friends and Influence People. The point basically is that when we do things simply for money, consciousness is goes low. I'll put it that way. That's going to be a conversation around the map of, I call it now, consciousness that I created, and we'll have a more conversation about that. But co-op crowd does not involve doing this for money. You literally have to exercise I'll say the higher qualities of our consciousness in order to actually succeed. What you need to do isn't much, but it's not exercised that often. And so when we start seeing our value grow, and I'm meaning this on a psychological, spiritual basis, and you start feeling your energies become more harmonious, where you become more confident, even in yourself. You're talking about things that you believe in, whether anyone's listening or not, okay, or whether anyone's following you or not. We have to do these. We do these things for our own reasons. But one of my reasons for this is how cool it would be to create a situation where I have enough to do the things that I want to do when I want to do them, no matter how much they cost. And that's because I have a flow. I've created a flow of income that comes in, and I've succeeded in creating that flow of income that comes in. Even if I'm not working at it, it still flows. So I've been doing things to actually help stimulate, encourage, inspire people to start seeing possibilities differently, because the vast majority of our population is very much fixed in the idea that either they can't uh, they can't create that kind of a situation for themselves, or frankly, they don't know how. Or on the other hand, since everyone's not doing it, or since some authority has told them that they should stay away from this and that and the other, they don't give not only the idea a full look and evaluation, but they don't give themselves one either. They don't give themselves a chance to one evaluate it, and therefore then evaluate their own ability and their own sense of, can I do this? How would life be different if I did this? So I was thinking, for example, one of the first things, and I'm going to show you something. I'm going to run a video in a little bit here that is about co-op crowd, because it is different in many fundamental ways than anything I've seen. But one of the things and the reasons why I do talk about it now, and it's not the exclusive thing, because all these other things are all associated with it. But as far as a way to actually change things, I I'm in a home. I rent a house here, and I've talked about this before, so some people may know this or not. But um, as I started learning more and more about how co-op crowd works, and not just how it works, I'm in it. I am a member of co-op crowd, so I'm a part of that cooperative. I have a position in it, so to speak. The idea of, for example, purchasing this house. I'm interested in purchasing this house. I have some other things that I want to do too, but I love the idea of being able to simply buy the house without having to think about borrowing. I've been receiving, get these emails from so and so. Hello, Adam, and you've earned a pre-approval for this card or that card and stuff like that. And don't let this go by. They're going to grace us with the favor to approve us for me to give them information and for them to approve me on a card that basically allows or permits them to um, loan me money at a exorbitant interest rate, annual interest rates for that matter. And I'm supposed to feel special for that. This is the thinking, you know. There are folks that are out there, for example, that make a whole bunch of money, and yet they still are thinking about getting credit cards, and because of status. Okay, we have so flipped our perceptions of what's important that we think there is status in being debt worthy. Okay, and oh, there were see, I've got this big credit limit. That's a debt limit. Okay, there's no growth in there. There's no flow of anything. That is basically how much someone has gotten into our minds of their ability to suck value out of us. That's what that's all about. And yet we go around thinking we're big crap, because we've got a whole bunch of debt cards. Okay, and we don't have the sense that we can do something that creates sufficient flow where you don't need any of those things. So yeah, I want to be able to buy the house and negotiate with the owner and basically have the value that we agree on and simply transfer it over to him. And interestingly enough, since he has come here while I've been talking about and learning about Co-op Crowd, the guy looked at it, decided, yeah, he'll join it too. Now that makes it even cooler because between Co-op Crowd members, and that's part of what's going to be in this video, uh, is there's this wallet, because that wallet is a digital wallet. That's where your value comes, and that's where the funds show up for you. But unlike anything else, which has um, I say anything else. I'm talking whether you're talking your bank accounts, you're talking your exchange accounts for whether stocks or whether it's crypto exchanges. You have to go through the various guidelines and conditions, unlike even the investment type platforms where you put your funds in and then they've got to do all their things. They got to keep the funds in for a certain period of time. When you put those funds in, some of them they're locked, period, and then it'll trickle back to you over some period of time. Others, you got to have it in there for a period of time while they do the thing to do buys and sells. And while that's happening, those funds are not available to you, and then they're also subject to the I'm going to say the efficacy of the platform or the platform developers. That is the whole story around the FTX situation, and I mean, we call it takedown, bankruptcy, whatever you want to say, and all of that, all those possibilities and contingencies are there. But with the Co-op Crowd wallet, you do your accumulations, you receive them there, they come to you. However, when they show up, they are 100% available to you when they show up, and you can take them out, you can do whatever you want with them. And the cool thing, because you're creating a stream of it, even when you take it out and put it into another wallet or something else, shoot, some more keeps coming in. Real cool. So one thing I'm going to do, without talking anymore, because good, see, I can talk. It's 34 minutes, and I've been sitting here just talking, and it's like time doesn't pass. What I want to do is I'm going to show this past Saturday. Greg Baldwin, he is a fellow that initially gave the presentation for CoopCrowd to me, and he and it wasn't his presentation was one thing. His I watched testimonials of people who have been in other platforms that are developed by the same fellow that developed CoopCrowd. Greg Baldwin did not develop CoopCrowd. It was developed by a fellow named David Rosen, who is out of Toronto. He lives in Toronto. Unlike many other types of platforms that have developers and stuff like that who do not want to be seen, David Rosen has no problem being seen, and but his system has actually helped change people's lives. See, his system helps change it. The person has to do the changing. That's the cool thing. It's not where this is going to do all this for you. No, you got to do this for yourself, but the system will support you by actually doing what it's designed to do. It leverages what you put in it, unlike anything else. I'm talking money as well as time and effort, like nothing else. And it produces unlike anything else uh, I've ever seen. And I think it's worth doing. So in this particular case, this is going to be Greg Baldwin. I do anticipate. I've set this thing up so that it will share the audio, and so you'll be hearing, because I'm going to play this video, and Greg is going to be talking about the differences of, I'm going to call it static and dynamic money, so to speak. Static income versus dynamic income, because CoopCrowd creates what I will call dynamic income. We are of a consciousness of static income. We think of lump sums and things like that. We don't think about flow. Now, I may stop here and comment here and there, but I'm going to start it, and we'll just move on with this, because the other part of this, if this is meaningful to you, it will also be meaningful to anyone else that you know that is interested in this. This is something different. People are not doing this yet. They don't. Most people don't know anything about it. There are 8 billion people on this planet, and under 200,000 on the entire planet are doing what we're doing right now. It is the beginning, and yet everyone who does the steps that are enumerated in this and other videos can fundamentally change their income flow situation, how they get it and how much comes. So I'm going to play this. If I need to stop someplace and make a clarification, I will. Otherwise, I may just be quiet and we'll see what happens. I will roll this and then bring up the screen. Okay, it is rolling. Here it goes. I'll even bring the. There we go.
Now, let's talk about this in terms of what it is that we got our hands on here. How you guys want to look at this, how we're doing this, is that we are all collectively, we're leading. Or are they stuck on the sidelines as rivals like Apple and PayPal reap big benefits? And here's, check this out, watch this, and divert tens of billions in revenue away from banks. The significance of that is twofold. Number one, we're looking to divert not just billions, trillions of dollars into our co-op wallet ecosystem, ladies and gentlemen. That's our game because it's a wallet for the people and by the people. The other thing is that for those of you that are new to the cryptocurrency space, you're going to hear things out there to try to give it a bad name and wrap it. Now, think about it, common sense. If you're the banking industry, you don't want some other disruptive technology coming in and taking away your power and control of an industry. So you're going to say bad things about it in order to maintain power and control, but they can't stop it. Blockchain is here to stay. I'm going to break this thing down for you guys here momentarily. But look at this here, PayPal, all right? Because oftentimes we talk about Cash App here in the United States, United Kingdom. PayPal here shows the percentage, okay, of different payments that people are using in Canada. PayPal is like 28%, US 35%, France 39%, Germany 60%, Italy 50%, okay? India 30%, okay? So I want you guys to understand that the digital wallet space, this is where we're at. We're playing in the major league of business. This is not, and I'm not here to knock it, but we're not, this isn't cash gifting or susu. We're not trying to hustle up on some money. When I tell you guys, we're talking about each and every one of you being in a position, and we're making you aware, you can become a cash flowing millionaire. I'm here to let you guys know that if you take this seriously. Now, look at this from this perspective here, just to help you understand how big the digital wallet space is. This company here, Venmo, this is a screenshot of Venmo sending me something in my email. Come back to Venmo and cash in with $10. These digital wallets are competing and jockeying for market share. They're willing to pay you one time, right, to get into their ecosystem. Now, Venmo is a subsidiary of PayPal. See, PayPal is double dipping. They got PayPal and they also got Venmo, all right? Look at this, Coinbase, which is a cryptocurrency exchange, but they have a digital wallet, right? So $10 in Bitcoin for you and $10 for your friend. You'll both get rewarded when your friend trades $100 in crypto. Once again, they're just looking to pay you a one time in order to get you into their ecosystem. Now, why would they do that? Because they know they're going to make billions and trillions of dollars moving through their ecosystem. Stay with me here. PayPal, right? $10 for your friends, up to $100 for you, all right? So invite your friends. They even have a system here. Look at this. Send an invitation to a friend who doesn't have PayPal, have them sign up and link their bank account or card. And when they spend or send at least $5, we'll send you both $10. So same thing. Send an invitation to a friend who doesn't have Co-op Wallet. All right. They're going to basically link their crypto exchange and bank account, right, to Co-op Wallet. And every time that there's a Co-op Wallet opened up from that day forward, based on your one-time execution, you're going to receive ongoing residual income. So that's what I want you guys to understand why we're so powerful. You guys see this. This is the main thing here. Our cooperative funding platform empowers members worldwide to receive daily unavoidable royalty residual deposits for simply referring people to open a Co-op Wallet account. Now, translation, take out Co-op Wallet, put PayPal there. Imagine that PayPal offered you the opportunity to earn unavoidable royalty deposits for simply referring people to open up a PayPal account or a Venmo account or a Coinbase account. They're not. They're giving you a one-time hit because they understand they just want you in their ecosystem. And once you're in there, they're going to generate all of that revenue.
They're going to take all that revenue
on the blockchain that's willing to share in the revenue as we basically put this whole infrastructure around the world globally. People, we get to own the track without betting on the horses. We're not betting on horses, which could be staking, mining, investing, and trading. It doesn't matter what goes on our track. It can be dogs racing. It can be horses racing. It can be people racing. It doesn't matter. This is the greatest cash flow project on the face of planet Earth. And the timing and positioning of it is all because of blockchain technology. So we're talking about creating cash flow millionaires. There's a difference between someone who's a millionaire and a cash flow millionaire. I'm gonna help break this thing down for you guys. Please stay with me here. So when you look at this chart, you guys have seen this before, right? This is pre-blockchain. The reason why we're able to do is because it's on the blockchain. Blockchain technology is the most disruptive force in recent history, ladies and gentlemen. And so when you look at the traditional banking, whether it's corporate America, whatever, we're going to stick with digital wallets. They're centralized. They command and control. So you take people.
That's PayPal. That's all of them. They are all centralized, and even the crowdfunding platforms as well. They are still on this centralized model. None of them are based on a blockchain.
People who you see are millionaires or billionaires, they're only worth that. That's their net worth. But they're not cash flowing millions of dollars. They have to sell off some assets in order to liquidate, in order to get that money. Do you guys understand? We're not talking about you just being worth $1 million. We're talking about you not only being, you be worth more than that, but we're talking about you being able to cash flow $1 million through our process. All right. So you look at this from this standpoint, the owner is here, then you have your account holders in the traditional, let's just say it was PayPal or whatever. All of us as account holders with PayPal, Cash App, our bank, and everything like that, they're receiving all of the revenue, all of the wealth. What we're able to do because of blockchain is bust up that pinata. And we have what's called peer-to-peer. When it's peer-to-peer, that means the money is flowing peer-to-peer through the artificial intelligence that's baked in our digital wallet, that's baked in your co-op wallet. All right. It moves the money independent of your involvement. And all we're doing is each open up 3 accounts one time and teaching other people to do the exact same thing one time. And based on that, you're able to see ongoing, unavoidable cash flow that you can't get out of the way up if you wanted to. So you see here, become a DAO within a DAO, meaning become a digital asset owner within a decentralized autonomous organization whereby we're creating cash flow millionaires, you guys. I am so super excited and stoked. I can't sleep at night sometimes. I feel so honored with other leaders that we're able to share this with you. We're here to educate you, make you aware. See, your friends and family, they just don't know what they don't know. They don't understand blockchain. It's up to us to make them aware of what blockchain is providing for each and every one of us. At this moment in time in history, there's so much that's going on where they're trying to distract you from the real disruption. They want you to be focused on crypto, right? Now, let me help you guys understand what I mean by that. Stay with me. Crypto and blockchain are 2 different things. Blockchain can exist without crypto. Crypto cannot exist without blockchain.
Right.
Crypto is what moves on the blockchain, how money moves on the blockchain. But blockchain is the innovation. And so they want you to focus on crypto, whether it goes up or down and all that trading stuff. And you're not looking at the real innovation. See, as more and more people understand what blockchain is all about, it being the internet of money, allowing money basically to move as instantly all across the globe, just like data information does on the internet.
I call it value.
They don't want people to know about this because if they did, it would go from this, the centralized, to this so quickly, and even more revenue will go away from the big banking institutions. Mm-hmm. Hope you guys understand what I'm saying here, right? So the DAO is the end of bosses. What we're doing is we're going from this and we're going to this right here. We're going from the ecosystem to the ecosystem. Now, for those of you that haven't done this, I want to encourage you to go to smartermoney.com/blockchain. In fact, I'm going to go there right now. I want you guys to see this real quickly to give you guys an understanding. So when you go to smartermoney.com, you simply click on blockchain. I'm going to play this for you guys, and I want you guys to really, really pay attention to this, okay?
This is informative too.
Blockchain is the next big disruption that will reshape the way humans live, work, and play for a better and fairer world. Welcome to the blockchain future of banking. The current banking system in 3 words: centralized, greedy, and most likely corrupt. Now, we all remember the bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers in 2008, which had $700 billion in liabilities, causing a cascade of failures throughout the financial system, and investors losing their hard-earned money. Recently, JP Morgan was slapped with a $1 billion fine for trader manipulation of the precious metals market. And again, the recent FinCEN files expose how some of the biggest banks in the world including Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan, and Standard Chartered, have laundered more than $2 trillion.
She didn't mention Wells Fargo.
Few years. Banks have been known to fail us time and time again. They muck up their services with extravagant fees, over leverage on our investments with risky gambles, and are not immune to political interference or censorship by governments who have the final say over how they operate. More often than not, we as depositors have no idea where our money goes or what banks are even doing with it. In politically repressive countries, individuals also risk government interference, such as frozen accounts, denied access to payment systems, removal of funds, and actually denial of retrieval of funds during bank runs. Would you continue to put your trust in such a system? Well, blockchain technology is the answer, and actually the way forward for the financial world, which puts less power in the hands of the banking elite and more in the hands of everyday people. And the shift is happening now. Do you know that globally more than 1.7 billion adults remain unbanked? And even if they do have access to financial services, the experience is clunky, expensive, and inefficient. Global transactions through traditional financial institutions are slow, and they incur high costs, with an average of 3 to 5 days per wire, and an average of 10% in fees. Imagine trying to send money from a remote village in Africa to somewhere on the opposite side of the world. The current banking system, as we know it, has simply not evolved with the times by still requiring high amounts of wasteful manual paperwork. The entire system still relies on outdated protocols that are not unified globally. Blockchain technology solves this. It solves all these banking problems and more. At its heart, blockchain is a powerful, decentralized, distributed public ledger of record with no single owner. The blockchain is immutable, which makes every transaction transparent and accountable to the public, but yet also private and cryptographically secure between user to user. So how does blockchain work? A blockchain is a ledger of transaction data, which is shared and distributed across a network. The ledger is made up of blocks of data, all linked together in a chain encrypted by a complex algorithm. The data cannot be altered after it has been created, making it immutable. Let's look at some of the features of a blockchain. It's decentralized, so there's no central authority. It's distributed, no single point of failure, and it's immutable, which means it's tamper-proof and trusted. By design, blockchain is shaping up to be the new global banking alternative. By removing the expensive middleman, blockchain reduces the bloat of the current banking system, reduces inefficiencies, and even redistributes the earned income to its users. You must be wondering, how does it do it? In one phrase, smart contracts. Smart contracts are programmed code that autonomously executes specified actions when specific conditions are met. No human involvement is needed. With DeFi, the next generation of financial instruments are getting ready to topple existing legacy banking systems. It's still in its early experimental stages, but in time, the foundations are being laid for a new global financial economy operated entirely on blockchain, block by block. As DeFi financial instruments become more accessible to everyday people across the globe, from boomers to zoomers, people will be freed from the shackles of the traditional banking system.
Boomers to zoomers.
Financial liberation. Imagine a world where everybody is unbanked, where money is circulated within communities around the world without having any intermediaries to supervise, interfere, censor, or confiscate, where money can be transacted almost instantly and effortlessly. Blockchain is giving people the right to take back control of their money and their wealth. Blockchain is transforming the future of finance today and creating a global economy for equal opportunity, where anyone from anywhere in the world with a cell phone and an internet connection can tap into the network and access financial services like never before.
Okay. Now he's going to talk about some funds.
So that's on the Smarter Than Money site, and when you go here, you guys can see here it talks about this, despite the fact that blockchain technology is still in its infancy, it is regarded as the game-changing disruptive invention, and that we are a DAO. When you click on that, it'll explain what a DAO is moving forward. Now, here's what I want to do real quickly. I want to do this quick poll, you guys, because I want to know, who we have on our team. I want to go
I
ahead
think
and
I
do, if you guys
edited
don't
the
mind,
poll out, or maybe I
do this
didn't.
poll for me here real quick.
Nope, I don't. We're not going to do the poll. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Let's go here. At towards the end of here, there's the last part of this. He's going to go into actually the monies, and you can see how they grow. But again, the idea of a static, which is a centralized versus a dynamic, which is what this decentralized. And when they talk about DeFi, they're referring decentralized finance. And essentially, when each member does the things that gets their flow going, it's also the process of decentralization. More so, you can say it's the centralization of ownership, of authority, of sovereignty with each individual, and reclaiming that from the central authorities.
All right. Meaning, you may say some things on social media that people who are in powerful positions don't like. You can be censored. You saw with the peaceful protest in Canada, for instance, with the truckers, where they were able to raise money for a peaceful protest, but they had their account shut down as a consequence
Yep.
of people in power saying, hey, we're just going to go ahead and prevent you from transacting. Now, think about this. When you don't have cash to fall back on, and you've been shut down from transacting, if you will, and you don't have cash to fall back on, what happens then? You create an entirely new class, and it's called the useless class. So you want to be very, very, astute and aware of what's going on. I believe every person on this planet should have a co-op wallet. That should be our claim to fame.
I tend to agree with them there.
Have it, all right, in pocket. Now, we are a DAO, or decentralized autonomous organization. So it's like a company, if you will, without a boss or CEO. We all have equal shares and rights in this, okay? And so we're cooperative, and cooperative means involving mutual assistance and working towards a common goal. Our common goal is to help people all across this world cash flow, to have their residual cash flow greater than their monthly responsibilities, giving them 7 days of Saturday, being able to wake up when they get through sleeping. Or you may have a charity that you don't want to put together a 10K run every year. You don't want to have this dinner every year, but you want to be continuously having scalable cash flow coming to your charity or your foundation, okay, based on this process here. This is ingenious. Everyone's in need of cash flow, whether you're an individual, whether you're a charity, whether you're a business, everyone is in need of cash flow. And we have the solution to it with our enterprise and project. And basically how it works, every member has clearly defined tasks in the cooperative enterprise, right? So what are the clearly defined tasks?
There it is.
The conditions. I had a lady ask, where's our terms and conditions? Our terms are 2 simple steps, all right? And our conditions is unavoidable cash flow. You do the terms, here are the conditions. So here's the 2 steps. Number 1, you guys know the drill here. You're going to buy 4 co-op wallet activation tokens for a one-time out-of-pocket if you're doing the 10X version, or we call the best version. The standard version is $84 plus exchange fees. All right. But the reason why we talk about this, the bigger version, is because we want people to go after their goals and dreams quicker, right? Because it takes the same amount of time to put people in front of the standard version as it does the 10X version. Same amount of work, same amount of time and effort, but you get to your goals and dreams 10 times faster. We want you to start taking care of bills very, very quickly. And we have a game plan in place whereby we can show individuals how to cover their monthly mortgage payment in the next 4 to 5 weeks with mathematical certainty, with no gambling, right?
I would say this, talking about covering a monthly mortgage in 4 to 5 weeks, but as it goes on, by the time and accumulates, you're talking about simply paying the mortgage off. You're talking about it doesn't just stop with that. That's just a start. You'll see what it means.
So here, step number 2, you're simply choosing 3 friends that want to generate unavoidable cash flow, whether it's for an individual purpose, whether it's for a business idea, a charity, it doesn't even matter. It could be a church. 3 people who are all in need of cash flow that understand this project, and you're going to give them a $25 activation token. But you're only going to do it for 3 people who do steps 1 and 2 themselves. And all we have to do it is one time, within 7 days or less. Now we have people doing it within 15 minutes. We have some people doing it within 24 hours. We just put the 7 days or less because we realized it shouldn't take that long with the common sense of this whole project to go ahead and open up 3 accounts on the blockchain, creating unavoidable cash flow systematically, all right? For participating in something you're already doing. And so when that happens, here's the thing about cash flow millionaires. Remember, we're cash flowing because it's peer-to-peer. We remove the middle people. We remove the banks in the equation that take up all and suck up all the money.
Okay.
We don't need them in the middle of our enterprise here. So when we open up 3 accounts in the 10x 260, you guys know that, right? Directly deposit it into your own wallet, all right? 28 days later, it'll show up there again, okay? What are these 3 going to do? They're going to open up 3 accounts. They're going to receive 260. Because of that, here's the unavoidable cash flow that happens. You're now up to $380 every 28 days. All right. And to keep it 100, it's actually more than that. But as an organization, we don't want to hype people up. We under promise and we over deliver the way this math really works here. We just rounded off the numbers for simplicity's sake. So I'm getting ready to show you guys how everybody can become a cash flowing millionaire, literally. Okay. So this group of 3, they do the exact same thing. Open up, a co-op wallet account on the blockchain, right? Immutable, transparent. But because of that, you're up to $870. That can take care of a car payment and insurance for a lot of people. Makes sense? Some people can take care of their rent payment. That's 3 weeks in. They give it forward to 3, open up 3 digital accounts, 260. Because of that, your original 3 is at 870. You're now up to 2,490. That can cover most people's mortgage payment.
Let me make one explanation here too. This is from 3 people at the beginning. You saw the 260. When the 3 went here, this was going out to 9 more people. So that's how this group, they got 260. But now there were 9 people, more people connected to you, the 3. So there was the 3 plus 9. So now there was 12. From this, when this group sent out 3 to here, it was 27 more people. And so all of these are accumulating, going back to you. That's why it's happening in this sequence. And from the 27 here, they're putting their 3 out. This is now 81 people. Every time you see an addition here, it's 3 times what this number was. And you see how that's how the numbers are continuing to accrue.
Every 30 days. So we're starting to help people get some financial relief before they get to financial independence, right? Then when they do this 5th weekend, because of that, this is what happens. The system instantaneously moves the money, the wallet, the artificial intelligence moves the money independent of our involvement, just as advertised, 5380. For many people, it's going to cover their mortgage payment. And for most people, they'd be able to walk away from a full-time job at that moment in time. Or if you're retired, imagine an extra $5,380 coming into your coffers. When your golden years be even more golden. Makes sense? We're talking about quality of life. This is a lifestyle asset here. Okay? And then when they give it forward to 3, this is what happens. All right. So I'm going to go through this. You guys will see it in the overview on the site, our live overviews. But this is how we're talking about creating cash flow millionaires are way better than being a net worth of a millionaire.
Now, and you can see these numbers as they're going up. By the time it's coming down here, this number here, these are just their 3 people, and they're in the first stage of this. But at this number here, there's 19,683 people being invited from the group that are here. Is 6,561 people here, 2,187 people here. I think it's 729 here. And then from here at this level, it's 59,049 people, all of them that are going to be connected back to your wallet. So you can see here at this level is now $427,000 coming in. This is in a 28-day period, while people down here are now sending their first 3 out that are connected to you. And it will be fun. So you'll see when this goes back up, you'll see what that number is when that happens.
Makes sense? Because a net worth means you have maybe $1 million in assets, but you have to sell it off in order to liquidate to get that money.
And this is flowing of cash. This is liquidity.
We're talking about right here at this moment in time. If everyone did this within 7 days or less, with mathematical certainty, you have $1.7 million every 30 or every 28 days, into your co-op wallet. Cash flowing that. Not having to sell anything off to get it. It's cash flow, meaning 28 days later, you're going to get that and then some once you keep the cash flowing going, right? So here's the crazy thing about this, you guys. And sometimes I don't like sharing it, but I want you guys to understand that there's so much money on the table here for you. 2 weeks after that, if we continue this 2 weeks after this demonstration here, so we're talking about 12 weeks here. Do you guys know that you're talking about being at $10 million every 28 days in cash flow, or $120 million a year? Do $120 million a year within what, 8 years or less, you'll be a billionaire. Where else? Please, let's marinate on it. Where else? And what do you have in your hand right now that you have the potential, the possibility to generate that kind of revenue for you and your family moving forward into the future? We're talking about legacy money here, you guys. So we get excited about this. We take this very, very seriously. It's an infinity sign. We're just, the system moves the money. It makes the money flow. It does 99% of the work once we do our 1%, and that's the 2 steps. And we only have to do it one time. So every member, please listen to the newest members to our community. Put 100% of your focus on completing your 2 simple steps. And only your focus on that. Don't think about what if this happens, what if this person. Do not think about that, because you're going to bring that into your reality, because thoughts are things. You know, when I first got involved in this, the idea of not being able to identify 3 people, I didn't even entertain that, right? The idea of my 3 not getting 3, that I didn't even entertain that, because any sober-minded thinking person that's not in a position where they're defending their right to stay broke would see this and do it.
True.
All right. So every member stage should be within 7 days of each other in predictable, ongoing residual cash flow growth.
It's almost done.
Meaning, when you cross the threshold, let's say at $107,000, all right, that means 7 days or less later, your 3 should be crossing that, right? And then 7 days or less later, their 3 entities should be crossing that. When you cross the threshold, let's say 1.7 million, that means we doing this collectively, moving like a synchronized swimmers, all right? We're moving in the same direction. Then that means 7 days or less later, they should cross the threshold at $1.7 million. And then their 3 entities, 7 days or less. So it's like crossing the finish line, ladies and gentlemen. It's powerful stuff. So we give one time to receive all the time. So we're talking about creating cash flow millionaires with our system here. This is the most insanely simple thing I've ever seen in my life. God knows, based on all these things that I've experienced, I've never seen anything quite so simple. But we just have to do a good job, and that's why I'm spending the time trying to educate people about blockchain. You don't have to understand the technical aspects of it, but just the intention of it. Blockchain was designed for the people, by the people, where there's no central governmental authority regulating it. But we live in a society, you guys, where because of that, the news media were trying to blacken the eye of this space, preventing people from jumping into their freedom. And that's why I'm sharing this with each and every one of you. We're not speculating.
I agree. I agree. And that was Greg Baldwin. And that's the general gist of it. The idea, first of all, of creating that flow of income is cash, it's availability. Though the one thing else that touched me, and this does not take long, but there was a guy that on this call who had just started, and he just warmed my heart, and I want to actually play this too. You'll hear him talk.
Unmute yourself, please.
Here we go.
Hey, this is David J. Smith from California. I'm here.
Absolutely.
I just want to give you a little background. Most of you don't know this, but I'm disabled. I'm an amputee. I got
See me up
type
there.
2 diabetes. I can't walk. I'm stuck in a bed for the time being, a hospital bed. So that's why I don't have my picture on the screen all the time. I'm trying to figure out how to put my profile picture on there. So maybe one of y'all can help me how to do that. That'd be great. At least I have something up there instead of a blank spot. In the meantime, and thank you for the love. In the meantime, I would like to say to Brenna Jordan, she's the one that introduced me to this. Through her, I met her upline, which is Linda Rosen. And then I met you, Douglas Ford, through her. When I first saw this program, I knew right away this is what I was looking for. I was saying, because I like the idea that everybody gets paid, wins, as you say. It was instantly, and also families. I'm concentrating on the families, that if you get everybody in a family in this, we won't have to worry about the disparaging wealth gap, especially within the Black community and the general community. I think this will be a game changer for this.
Any community.
I thank Greg for the information about the blockchain that's in the Smarter Than Money website, and also the information about the blockchain online. While he was talking, I went ahead and looked it up and found the right one he was showing, so I can share that with my team. Now, when I got started, it took me about 2 weeks ago now, something like that. Within about 48 hours, I was able to get my 3 people. And from that point forward, I've been working with my 3 to get their 3. And at this point, one of my 3 has her 3. One of the other ladies have her 2. She needs 1 more. And my wife, she has 2 and she needs 1 more. And this information that we get in the locker room is definitely helpful, so I can kind of help them if they can't get on the call all the time, to educate them as well so they can keep up. Because we do have different issues from time to time. People come across things with people, what if I can't do this? What if? I said, look, let's change that mindset.
Yep.
And say, what can we do to resolve that?
Absolutely.
Take the negativity out. Let's put some positivity into this game.
That's right.
Because I see the potential. If I can see why. I knew about the banks and the situation in Catholic society. I'm a Christian, and I know about the Word of God, what it says about in the last days. And I know eventually there will be a time where will be a cashless society. And this would definitely work to get ahead of that, with the blockchain, for those who are living in the world right now, to avoid the issue with the government interfering with our cash flow. So I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you, Douglas Ford, for your leadership, Greg and Nicole, all of y'all, for helping us out as a team, and being international even better, because my wife is Jamaican. And so we have family in Jamaica and we have family in Toronto, Canada. And we're definitely concentrating on them. They're a little negative, some of them, but we're working on it.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you allowing me to talk and to share my situation, so everybody will know. If they don't see my picture up there, they know why. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Appreciate it.
Wow. I just listened to that and just touched by the guy, because it is about attitude. And you cannot do anything positive. You can't make any positive progress toward anything that you want to have happen with a negative attitude. And it turns out that we can be negative on anything. It doesn't have to be about something that we're looking at. Being negative is it creates its own barriers to the things that we want. And at some point in time, it'll be something that we really care about. But being negative itself and not only is its own barrier, it creates more and it strengthens them. So I like CoopCrowd. I love CoopCrowd because it requires people to literally become consciously positive about themselves. about your dreams, about the things that you want in life. In fact, start to not settling for the stuff that we have been settling for, because much of the time, the things that we're settling for, the things that we are wishing, whether we're wishing it for someone else, sometimes we'll wish something ill for someone else because we don't like their politics, we don't like their this, that, whatever reason we give ourselves for wishing something ill for someone else, not realizing that we are creating a wall around ourselves between what we really want in life and what we got. Okay. And you don't get any closer to that if we're in some place of negativity. So some of the things that I will be doing, because I stay pretty active in doing stuff. I created a Discord server. I talked a little bit last week, I think it was, about Mid Journey, for example, this AI tool for creating. You're creating images with word pictures. A lot of artists are really kind of up in arms. Are we getting over? Are we losing our jobs? Are we doing this and other? And but what I see and love about this Mid Journey is that it allows people who are not practiced at producing images, artistic images, to imagine and, excuse me, use words, to descriptive words, to of ideas that they imagine in such a way that they can start seeing new possibilities. So I have been doing that. I am doing that. In fact, the image that's behind me, I created with Mid Journey, and that's what I started the video with, because I really love this image. You can see the people. You can see the people there, but it's just it's a beautiful image of. And I said it's like imagining um, financial empowerment for the 8 billion, because there are 8 billion people on this planet. Now, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next week. But it simply begins for each person that gets a gets an idea, gets inspired by this idea of doing something for themselves and having enough to do what they want, when they want to do it, no matter how much it costs, to have a flow, have cash availability. Being a millionaire with stuff, if you got enough money to buy the Lamborghini, you got the house and stuff like that, and you still need to have a credit card because you don't have money when you need it because it's all in your stuff, that's just part of the problem. Only Co-op Crowd actually helps you to create your own flow where you have the liquidity, you have there's this term bioavailability. Well, this is oh gosh, if I come up with something that rhymes with bio, that'd be kind of cool. But value, availability. You've got the availability of that because it is a flow that's coming to you every month. That is pretty darn cool, and it would happen for each member that does the same thing. I am moving through some images that I created to, and I'm not going to stay on that much longer, but I do have my Mid Journey. Um, Here it is. Here's my Mid Journey Discord, and these are some of the images that I've created and I'm using. And as I mentioned, you are essentially using a descriptive terms, words, to create images. And so I wanted to create an image that would give a person the idea of receiving a large amount of funds. And so, for example, this one here is a waterfall of money falling into a pool, but with the exclusions of no water. And so this is actually what it created. Oops. And of course, it's going to come up over there. You're not going to see that. That's all right. Gosh, I just lost my. No, I didn't. I know where it is. There it is. I lost my studio window over here. So this image is what Midjourney created. Then and here's another one. This is pretty cool stuff. How about that? And it's it's permitting ourselves one to think. It is permitting ourselves to step outside of what we have considered possible. And if we go into some other books and some other ideas from the esoteric part of it, is that everything that occurs, every experience that we have begins with a thought. Unless a person is willing to see that kind of visual for themselves, that kind of experience, it will never happen for the individual. We have to literally put ourselves in conscious resonance with the idea. And the point basically that it's ours to create, it's ours to conceive of, it's also ours to give the energy to. And that is really the point. We tend to, one, either don't believe in ourselves, we tend to be negative, we tend to, even if something comes up, oh, that's too good to be true. Well, excuse me, then for you it will be. These are steps of conscious removal of negative blockages that we may be creating ourselves. If you're not putting any negative blocks for yourself to the realization of your own dream, then at least you don't have yourself to get over when we deal with something else. If something else comes up, that's another thing of presuming that something bad is going to happen. These are all habits of thinking. And of course, we'll always be right. The person who holds the thought will be right. Therefore, you have to be aware of what your thoughts are. Or if you are just parroting someone else's thoughts and made it your own, because it'll still be right for you. So these are some of the things and some of the reasons why I talk about CoopCrowd, because I also think about a future. I think about, well, okay, I'm going to be leaving this planet one day, as we all are. Now, the thing about it is that what am I leaving on the table? And on the other hand, if I have any issues, if I have fears, I have doubts, again, like I said, I learned this thing called death, and that freaked me out uh, early in my life. And I made it a conscious decision. I'm going to learn more about what the heck this is about and what life is about. Because the truth is, it's not about death. It is about the life that we're living. And many, many people who are afraid of death are not actually even living their own life. They are actually flapping in the winds of someone else's agenda and going wherever they choose or are told to go, because they don't and have not developed discernment of their own to process through, to parse what is actually makes sense, what with that which does not, to remove, separate that which is true to that which is not. uh, they have false authorities that they listen to versus the one that's within each of us. We do have something called common sense. We do. I don't have to be called of any religious, affiliation to still know I'm a being of spirit. I'm a one that existed before this form, and I also know that I'll exist after this form is gone. This this form is not my life. You know, this being that expresses through the form is who I am and what I am. And that is something that we are all able to come to know and to trust, as well as to love. So these are things that are some of the ideas that we're looking at. And what I'm going to do as we'll oh gosh, my music. Yeah. Anyway, So we'll start to wind this down. I want to thank you for spending the time with me. Um, we're going to look at this some more when we talk about dreams. And in the meantime, I'm going to invite you to dream yourself. And I also put, and will put if I didn't, the link to my Discord server where you can play, you can join, you come and play with Mid Journey a little bit, start exercising the proclivity to imagine. Let's do some conscious imagining, positive, hopeful, powerful imagining that because our our visions are of equal power and of value. You know, when we think that we are here on this planet and this planet alone, when we think that we are this life and this life alone, then there's a constraint. There's a constraining part of this. Then it gets down to, oh, it's what are they thinking versus what I'm thinking, and I don't want that. Now we got to step in and like stop them. This is football 101. Okay, you got one team and you got the other team, and we're going to keep each other from getting their goal. Excuse me, not necessary. This is an infinite universe, infinite possibilities. And if someone simply wants to be on what they think of as a prison planet, for example, and have limited freedoms and limited options, they're free to create it. And if they believe in it, they'll live it. Even if everyone else is free and peaceful and everything else, the one person that thinks this is a prison planet, it will be a prison for them. That is the key here. One of them, okay? So in the meantime, I think I have, oh, I can pull this off. Come on back here, Adam. Anyway, thank you for being with me. Thank you for hanging. And I'm going to edit this. This gave me a way that I could actually incorporate this. I was trying to figure out how to edit this thing and then put in my comments here and there, and then put it up on my other channels. And this way I could just do it and save me a whole bunch of time and effort. So I want to thank you for being present, and certainly invite you to join Co-op Crowd. If you got questions, contact me. I'm producing some other websites too. One of them is called sacredwealth.co. And I just have the domain there. I don't have the site. I'm working on some content to put on there, but it's called Sacred Wealth because wealth exists on a level that's beyond simply the ways that we think about it, which are not sacred necessarily. They're not even they're not permanent. Real wealth goes through us, goes with us through lifetimes. Wealth that is just temporal, if you will, is not even wealth if we don't have the other things active within ourselves. So I'm about that, which does not preclude having a whole bunch of dough. Okay. So in the meantime, I'll bid you peace. I'll bid you prosperity. I'll bid you joy and great health. Until next time, which today being Tuesday, could be Wednesday or Thursday, but I'll be back next time. Thanks so much, Damien. I totally am grateful that you are there and you found some value. And thank you for telling me you didn't hear anything, because I thought I'm still working this stuff out. So I really appreciate your feedback and your being there. Until next time, peace, be well, and yes, I love you all. Ooh, boom.